Assyrians were a black people, Persians were a black people, Elamites were a black people, and Arabs, yes, were a black people. That's why you see Assyrians have depicted themselves with curly hair, curly beard, and dreadlocks. That's why you see Persians have depicted themselves with curly hair and curly beard. And even there are many wall paintings found in Susa in which Persians have depicted themselves with black skin.
What's up, family? This is your man, not your boy, Go Black to Africa. I want to share this video with you all. Young man from the Mediterranean who is speaking some knowledge that he has come to understand, not only from what he's told, but what they know. You know, their history is totally different than our history. Unlike European history, especially in America, everything wants to be whitewashed. Check this video out, and I'll be back to share with you a little bit more facts in the ancient writings that depict who the people are.
I've seen when black people claim that the ancient Hebrews and Jews were a black people and Jesus was not a white man. Many white people come across and say, okay, Jesus was not a white man, but he wasn't a black person either. Because he was from the Middle East, and therefore, according to them, he must have looked like Arabs. And therefore, according to them, he must have looked like Arabs. Just because the modern population of a region looks like X doesn't mean that the ancient inhabitants of that region looked also like X. For example, look at Australia. Are white Australians descended from the ancient Aborigines? Or are white Mexicans descended from the ancient Mayans? Of course not. The Middle East is the most melting pot region of the world. There are black, white, brown, Indian-looking and Mongol-looking people in this region, all of whom claim to be native and indigenous to this region. And for example, in Arabs, there are black, white, and mixed, the so-called brown Arabs, all of whom claim to be the real Arabs. But which of them is the real Arab? The black one, the white one, or the brown one? The same goes for Iran. There are many different ethnic groups in Iran. There are Mongoloid-looking Turkmens, there are Indian-looking Baluch, there are native blacks, there are white-looking Turks, there are mixed-looking Kurds and Lurs. Which of them is the true Iranian? And unlike what the believers of the Indo-European hoax claim, the white-looking people in this region are not descended from the ancient mythical Indo-Europeans. These people are mostly Turks or descended from Turks. For example, here in Iran, up to 40% of people are Turks, and I don't know how many of them are descended from Turks, meaning are related to Turks. And the most white-looking people of Iran are mostly Turks, but there are also Russian, Georgian, and Armenian people too living in this region. And we all know that Turks are not an indigenous people to this region. They came from southern Russia and the Central Asia in recent centuries. And they cannot be an indigenous people to this region. The ancient inhabitants of the ancient peoples of the Middle East were all different types of black people, different groups of black people. Assyrians were a black people, Persians were a black people, Elamites were a black people, and Arabs, yes, were a black people. That's why you see Assyrians have depicted themselves with curly hair, curly beard, and dreadlocks. That's why you see Persians have depicted themselves with curly hair and curly beard. And even there are many wall paintings found in Susa in which Persians have depicted themselves with black skin, have painted themselves with black skin. So therefore, Persians were black people, not a so-called Indo-European. And I believe that Persians, Assyrians, Arabs, and all of the ancient inhabitants of the Middle East were an Ethiopian type of people, the so-called Semitics, an Ethiopian type of people. People like the Somalis, like Ethiopians, like Eritreans, like Djiboutis, like dark-skinned Yemenis. You know, they weren't a white people. Why? Because the temperature here in this city goes up to 50 degrees Celsius in summers with a high intensity and a UV index of 12. White people cannot endure this heat. They cannot tolerate this heat. So they cannot be indigenous to this region. Because we semi-white looking people cannot stand this heat. We cannot go outside too much in summers. But how can white people be indigenous to this region? And I don't say this because I'm racist. As you can see, I'm not a black person, and I look mostly like whites than blacks. I just want to tell the truth that the ancient inhabitants of these regions, from Babylonians, Assyrians, Elamite, Persians, Jews, were all black.
What do you think? Let me say this right here. You know, if truth be told, in the ancient writing, the scrolls, the scriptures, y'all call it the Bible, you're going to find out that even in Acts 13, many of you all subscribe to, it talks about Simeon, who is a Niger. Now, that word in Latin terms means black or dark. You have to understand that the Bible was never written in English. The first of its kind that we know of stemmed out of Ethiopia, which then also Latin was involved, the Latin Vulgate, or the Latin Bible, which was translated out, which you will find that are some similarities, but will depict even closer back then what it was written, versus in English terms, they would rather go ahead and use their own terminologies to describe something or someone. This ain't about pro-black. This is about a history so that people can see that we are the original, according to the scientific proofs that exist out here, whether it's the archaeologists or the scientists or the explorers and their ancient writings. We are the original, and all stem out of us. You know, one of my hardest questions I used to ask that I could not answer for years is, why does the world hate black people? Now, we're not talking about necessarily in totality, but we do know that it is a systemic racism, no matter where you go, that the blacker you are, the harder you look down upon. And the answer came to me. People hate who they are. People hate who they are. You find today, people do not like who they are. They will rip this body apart, get surgeries. They will, if they are white, they want to get tan. Those who are black want to get white. Those who don't like, their gender, they will change it. Because There is an inherent knowing that black reigns within all the human species. However which way you want to put it, according to science. The people despise that blackness in them, and they rather get further away. It is evident when we see our own people who try to run away from their blackness, whether it's from the countries they're in to try to go to Europe, try to go to America, whether they try to look up to them being smarter, have the best of everything. Even I've seen brothers and sisters who have gone over there, who live there, been raised there, have changed into the mindset and would do everything in their power to circle themselves with those who do not look like them in order for them to feel good about themselves. We have to get back to loving who we are as a people. Because if not, you will tear down the very person that you are. And this is what's happening. We as a people are destroying ourselves and each other. You know, this world was never supposed to be about black or white. This world was supposed to be about a people loving one another, recognizing each other's differences, and seeing that we all came from the root, from the beginning of the Most High. We, this body, came out the motherland of the soil of Africa, according to the writings. If you're not happy with who you are, you must understand you're dealing with a sickness that's within. And many people run away from it, the truth. And they will walk their life out behaving, mimicking others, behaving out of context, behaving out of character, behaving out of who they are in order to satisfy who they think they are or who they want to be. With that, family, you're either going to be a carbon copy or just stand up and be proud of who you are and be an original. And nobody's superior except for the Most High. This is your man, not your boy. Go Black to Africa.
Think about it, 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 think about it.